Chapter 38. The Time When I Loved You. Sometimes an accurate prediction can be disappointing. Matthias realized this that morning as he looked down onto the rose garden and didn't see Layla. Given what she had been through, he figured it would be quite a while before she appeared again. He had already predicted this in his office the previous night, after hearing Hessen deliver his report. Even so, seeing Layla's absence with his own eyes flustered him a bit. She is quite a fool, he thought, snickering as he closed the thin curtains and turned around. The theft had been a ruse. Linda Ettman's real goal had been to break Layla's heart and destroy her self-esteem. If she couldn't stop her son, she had to get Layla to give up. It was an excellent strategy, and Matthias applauded her for it. She had perfectly understood her opponent and had stuck in the proverbial dagger at just the right moment to produce the desired effect. Mrs. Ettman's scheme had provided him with even more entertainment than he had expected. In fact, he had laughed a few times while listening to Hessen's report. The leisurely weekend morning felt particularly long and dreary. After getting dressed, he looked out the window again while sipping coffee. Bill Remmer and his helpers were busily working, but Layla was still nowhere to be seen. He started to wonder if he had been too greedy in desiring someone so pathetic. Feeling the urge to mock her, he set out on a light morning walk. The servants didn't interfere, knowing that he enjoyed going for a swim in the river by his cabin when he had some spare time. He hoped that Layla would be crying so that he could have a good time again. As he reflected on that wish, he arrived at the gardener's cottage. Normally, Layla would be reading a book on the porch or doing chores in the yard, but she was nowhere in sight. The area around the cottage was completely still and quiet. Just as he was starting to feel annoyed, a white pigeon flew down. It was flying straight towards the window on the back side of the cottage, as if this was its destination. He reflexively walked in the direction it had flown. The pigeon was sitting calmly on the sill of the half-open window. He noticed that it had a small note tied to its leg. Just then, he realized that the window was to Layla's room. He approached, but the pigeon didn't fly away. Is it a messenger pigeon? Furrowing his brow, he calmly reached out and grabbed the bird. It remained docile even in his hand. He stared at the note the bird had brought until he was startled by the sound of crying coming through the window. It turned out that the room he had thought was empty actually contained Layla, lying on her bed, sobbing miserably. Even after opening her eyes, Layla lay still on her bed, staring at the ceiling. Her room was full of bright light, and the birds living in the trees by her window were singing just as brightly. As each of her bleary senses grew alert, the cruel reality that she had forgotten during her illness came back to her as well. And yet it was strange. The clearer this reality became in her mind, the peaceful her heart felt. It was as if all those excruciating emotions, which had made it hard even to breathe, had flowed out of her along with the sweat and tears she had shed while sick. 3 days had passed. After calculating how long she had spent in bed, she slowly sat up. She felt some dizziness for a moment, but it passed. I'll have to wash these sheets. I should also dust the window frames and re-wash the dishes that Uncle Bill tried to wash, and, thinking of all the tasks she would need to do, she felt overwhelmed and closed her eyes. When she opened them again, she decided on one task that needed to take precedence over all others. She needed to see Kyle.
You can't be up and about like this yet, Layla. You should rest.
Kyle shouted, rushing towards Layla after spotting her sitting by the stream, gazing at her reflection in the water. She slowly lifted her head and looked at him. Lingering signs of her illness were still visible in her face.
Why did you come all the way here?
He asked, hurrying towards her.
I could have seen you at home.
She was sitting with her arms around her knees on a wide, flat boulder at the edge of the stream. Her silky blonde hair, draped over her slender shoulders, looked like it was part of the afternoon sunlight.
I have something to tell you,
she said. Instead of her usual smile, her face was blank.
Ooh, is it something big?
He asked, smiling in her stead. Instead of smiling in response like she normally would have, she kept looking at him with a blank face. He then smiled even brightly, as if to rid himself of the ominous feeling he was getting.
I like spending time with you like this too, but you're still getting over your illness. I'm concerned.
Kyle,
Actually, I had something I wanted to tell you too. This is great. I can tell you here.
Kyle,
You don't need to worry about your stolen tuition money anymore, Layla. My dad is going to Rats tomorrow, and he's going to pay for—
Kyle, I'm not going to college.
She said quietly but firmly.
What?
He asked, looking up from the stream at her. They stared into others' deep, still eyes.
I'm not going to college.
She repeated.
What do you mean? You passed that difficult exam and everything. I told you, you don't need to worry about tuition, Layla. Please don't be stubborn about—
I'm not going to marry you either.
She let go of her knees and adjusted the shawl that was slipping from her shoulders.
I'm going to stay here with Uncle Bill and live the life I always thought I would. I'm sorry, Kyle. I should have told you this at the start, but I was blinded by greed.
Greed?
Yeah. I guess I really wanted to go to college and study, even though I said I didn't. Agreeing to marry you was a way I could do that, so I went along with it. I used you.
Huh. You're lying. Did you really think I'd believe you?
He scoffed. She remained still, thinking, I wish it were all a lie. A sad smile spread over her quivering lips. For a while she had thought it was sympathy or pity, but then she had realized how things really were. He thought of her as his lover. It was in that spirit that he had proposed to her, but she had accepted his proposal as a friend. It would be a lie for her to claim that there wasn't greed hidden inside her decision to accept the proposal, and this made her feel even worse.
You're not like other people, Layla. You wouldn't do something like that.
He sprung to his feet. His long shadow loomed over her.
You love me. Do you think I'm so stupid that I don't know that?
Sure. I love you.
She couldn't deny it. If someone asked her if she loved Kyle, she would nod at once. They could ask 1,000 times, and she would nod 1,000 times.
I love you as my best friend. I love you like an older brother. And sometimes like a younger brother.
She remained composed even as she saw his face growing more and more somber. She had to.
But that's not the kind of love you want. I can't, Kyle. I can't love you like that. That's why I can't marry you.
I don't care.
He replied, gulping uneasily.
I don't care what kind of love it is. If it's love, it's love. It doesn't matter if it's not the love I want, Layla.
No, I don't want that.
She slowly stood up. A forest breeze blew between the two of them. She took a deep breath, gazing down at the ripples the breeze was making on the water. This forest stream, not far from the cottage, had been their playground when they were young. Since she was afraid of deep water, she had preferred it over the Solche river, since she could step into it without the water rising above her knees. She would sit on the boulder under the shade of the trees and read a book, while he would wander about the stream, catching crawdads and small fish. Sometimes he would find pretty shells or rocks and give them to her. We laughed so much, she thought. We always had a good time. The time when I loved you felt so warm. I have so many radiant memories like that, and my love for you hasn't changed, and probably never will. Even so, I have to let you go. She lowered her head to hide the tears that were forming in her eyes.
I can't. I have to leave you. I'm sorry, Kyle. I should have told you this from the beginning.
If that's the only reason, you really shouldn't say that,
He replied.
The world is full of people who get married without love. At least you do love me. That's enough.
He stepped towards her and put his arm around her shoulders.
You think you're using me? Fine. Use me then. I don't mind.
Don't do this.
Shh. As long as I'm with you, it's all right. Anything is fine. If it'll be of help to you, then use me to your heart's content.
Kyle,
You can do whatever you want other than leaving me.
His eyes were tearing up as well. She clenched her fists to keep her heart from wavering.
no, I don't want that.
You really want to go to college, right? You want it desperately enough that you are willing to use me. That's all the more reason not to let me go.
Finally, she knew she had to say the thing she dreaded telling him most of all.
Kyle, I want to marry someone that I love romantically, as a lover. The thought of marrying you and going to rats together only makes me more sure of that.
A look of shocked sadness came over his face.
I want to marry someone like that and live without shame. I want that even more than I want to go to college.
Layla.
I thought about using you and just pretending I wasn't, but then I would be ashamed of that choice for the rest of my life. I would regret it. I don't want to live like that.
Layla.
If I made that choice, it would taint my memories of all the time I loved you as a friend, as a brother. That's something I never want to do.
Her heartfelt voice was shaking slightly. Even though she knew it was time to become an adult, she had been ready to make the most childish choice one could make. Out of a desire not to lose Kyle, with the added bonus of being able to go to college, she had accepted his proposal. She now felt deep shame and guilt over that choice. Mrs. Ettman had been right. The moment she had accepted his proposal, her relationship with Kyle had crossed a line of no return. Mrs. Ettman hated her for doing that, and she didn't have it in her to endure her hatred. She didn't want to spoil Kyle's image of his mother by telling him what she had done. She didn't want to hurt Uncle Bill either. There was no going back now. Revealing the truth about the theft would do nothing but hurt them. This was what she had realized after shedding enough tears to drain all the water out of her body. Therefore, she had to tune away from him. Right then, in silence. That was the only way to protect her self-respect, Kyle's family, and Bill's feelings.
Let's keep our old memories untainted, Kyle.
She looked into his eyes and quietly spoke.
Let's do that.
Let's leave our wonderful childhood days behind up and become adults, she wanted to add. Instead, she let a quiet sigh pass through her parched lips. Don't cry, she thought to herself. She had said the phrase to herself over and over as she had walked to the stream. Fortunately, it worked, and no tears fell from her eyes. She closed her eyes and started walking. He was standing in a daze. As she passed by him, he grabbed her wrist.
Don't go.
His large, hot hand was trembling. She opened her eyes and, instead of answering him, simply pushed his hand away. Despite his physical strength, his hand weakly fell off her wrist at the slightest touch. She walked away with calm, light steps, leaving him behind, while he gazed into the stream. Her eyes were moist, but she didn't shed a single tear until she arrived back at the cottage.
AudiosKoppo.